6 p.m., depending on which states you were looking at, it was between 63% and 78%. In fact, the numbers are rising. The last stock that I took of Assam, it had crossed 80% at 7 p.m. and it is still more expected to rise. So one thing is that, because let us not forget that, of course, this is not, these elections are not the first round of elections in COVID times. We saw Bihar. But, and of course the Election Commission is gaining from experience in holding elections following protocols. But given the fact that these elections are taking place at a time when there is once again there is a surge in the number of cases, COVID cases across the country, though it is limited to some particular states, nonetheless, it is a worry that is growing, and amidst that, it is a very good percentage. That is one. That is the first highlight. Second is that by and large, barring a few incidents, by and large, polling has been peaceful, and that is a very, very welcome sign.
Sandeep, we are joined by your correspondent Manas from Guwahati. Manas?
Yes, Vinay.
Yeah, Manas, how would you rate today's polling in Assam with third phase and final phase getting over in Assam? How do you assess the situation there? What were the highlights in today's polling?
Well, this phase covers the districts of Lower Assam. There are 46 seats, and there are prominently two forces. One is led by BJP NDA, another faction is Congress-led Mahajot or Grand Alliances. Apart from them, in some of the seats, there would be likely triangular contest. The third force would be the regional forces, Assam Jatiya Parishad newly formed, along with Raijo Dal. So most of the seats are, either straight fight between NDA and Mahajot or Grand Alliance, and in some of the seats, there will be likely triangular contest. Regarding the issues, today's polling was very peaceful, very smooth, bearing few incidents of EVM glitches. Everything was perfectly okay, and there are several high-profile candidates are in play in this phase. There are 6 ministers, four of them from the ruling NDA, 2 of them from BPF, but still they are in the part of Sonal government. The state BJP president also is in the fray. This is Patasargusi seat. I mean, everybody would be an eye on this seat because the state president of BJP is contesting from this seat against the working president and the just former sitting MLA of Assam Jatiya Parishad. So overall, now we'll wait for 2nd May, but polling was very peaceful and there was intense campaigning. Several high-profile campaigners, star campaigners just released in these things. So it was like that. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Manas.
Just to add to that, another high-profile name was Himanta Biswa Sharma. He was contesting from Jalukbari.
And Sandeep, in Assam also, there were some tidbits about how Election Commission has reached out to super seniors
citizens. Yes, it was an excellent initiative. At a very personal level, I learned this experience that the Election Commission they went by the previous electoral list and identified voters who would be at a risk in COVID times to come out and stand in queue and cast their ballot, which is why they went to the homes of these voters. They verified their credentials. They issued them a postal ballot, and it was duly photographed, recorded, and of course it was a secret ballot that they held, but all the norms were followed, but in the comfort of their own homes. So senior citizens who were 80 and above could cast their ballot, and their ballot took place a few days before Guwahati went to polls today, but the super senior citizens, as we call them, 80 plus people, they had already cast their vote on a ballot paper earlier.
Okay, and if we come to West Bengal now, where 31 seats, assembly constituencies were witnessed polling today. How would you rate this third phase? 5 more phases to go. All eyes are on West Bengal only.
Yes, of course. I mean, the second phase was the most important phase in terms of the, Nandigram and the prestige battle. But this is also very important because these are areas which is in and around the city of Calcutta or Kolkata. And these are Hooghly, Howrah district, just across the river, Hooghly River, then south 24 Parganas. So 31 seats in all, and by and large, I think the polls went peacefully, but there have been complaints by the ruling party in West Bengal that some of their voters were prevented from casting their ballot, and they also questioned the security forces. In fact, Trinamool's leader in the Rajya Sabha, Derek O'Brien, wrote a letter complaining against the central forces to the chief electoral officer in West Bengal.
Yes, Sandeep, we are joined by Madhuparna, our correspondent Madhuparna Chaudhary from Kolkata. Madhuparna?
Yes.
31 seats in West Bengal went to polls in this third phase of assembly elections. So by and large, as our political analyst and expert in studio, Sandeep Fukan, was mentioning, that these areas are nearby Calcutta, Hooghly, urban or city-based areas. How would you rate chances of TMC and BJP in these areas? Because generally it is said that, BJP is quite strong in urban areas.
Yes, as you have mentioned rightly, that this time during the election is being held in 8 phases in West Bengal. We can see there are mainly 2 forces. That is, one is ruling Trinamool Congress and another one is BJP. And the third front, which is the Sanjukta Morcha, the grand alliance between Congress and left parties and ISF, Indian Secular Front, they are also. But if we take into account today's polling, which was held in 31 seats across South 24 Parganas, Howrah and Hooghly, what we can say for the South 24 Parganas, if you see South 24 Parganas, it is considered to be a very stronghold of the Trinamool Congress, because in 2016 elections, Trinamool Congress has won 15 seats out of 16, which went into polls today. And another seat went to CPIM. And even if we see the results of 2019 general elections, the percentage of TMC, it was increased to 54%. But on the other hand, BJP's percentage in 2019 elections, which increased from a mere 6% to over 34%. So it was a very interesting fight in South 24 Parganas in this election. And if we consider particularly the 16 seats in which polling was held today, taking into consideration the sensitivity of all the seats, Section 144 has been imposed around 200 meters of the polling booth since last evening. And to keep the poll process free from violence was a very challenging task for the ECI. And for that, 307 companies of central forces were deployed in the district. Even today, what we have seen, that 2 IG rank officers of the CRPF, they visited from Kolkata to South 24 Parganas on helicopter, and they visited few booths in Baruipur Paschim seat, from where the Speaker of the Legislative Assembly is fighting. Okay,
Madhuparna, thank you for the update. Sandeep, by and large, as she was saying, polling was peaceful. And now, if we go over to South, Tamil Nadu presents a very interesting picture. Seesaw battle between DMK and AIADMK, which has an alliance with Congress, and AIADMK, which is backed by BJP. So generally it is said that Tamil Nadu, favors, one-time alternative. They fare better for AIADMK than DMK. They change after every 5 years. So what are the reports coming from Tamil Nadu?
Well, I think there are many factors here this time around, Binay. First of all, this is an election when both the fronts, AIADMK is fighting without J. Jayalalitha and DMK is fighting without K. Karunanidhi. So obviously both both fronts or both political formations are going into elections without their stalwarts. So Stalin in the case of DMK and PS Palaniswamy in the case of AIDMK, they are leading the charge. But also let us not forget the presence of the third front, led by actor Kamala Hassan, and who went and cast the vote. So that's a very interesting. One has to see how that plays out on the ground. We also saw that for a long time, Rajnikant was planning, and then eventually he opted out of electoral politics.
And Sandeep, is Kerala and Puducherry, they are also. They went to poll single phase poll. Kerala also, LDF and UDF, it alternates between.
Yes.
So what is your take on both of them? So
first, Puducherry, it's an interesting battle because Puducherry has, though it's a union territory with legislature, 30 seats, but there was a Congress government so long. There were reports of strong anti-incumbency. So all of that put together forced the Congress not even to field the Narayanasamy as a candidate in the election. So the NR Congress is considered to be favorably poised in these elections.
In
Kerala, the interesting thing is that every year it alternates, but this time around the Congress seems to be fighting a factionalism. And there seems to be pre-poll surveys suggest that every 5 years they change the government. So going by that, Congress-led UDF should come to power. But pre-poll surveys have given an edge to the Left Democratic Front. But we'll have to wait until May 2nd to see whether that happens. Most Congress people have really put in their best effort for Kerala for two reasons. One is that this is one state at least they would like to win, because it is very much possible to win, given the track record every 5 years. And secondly, Rahul Gandhi is a Lok Sabha member from here, so it's a prestige battle as well.
Yeah, and as you rightly said, all eyes will be on these, particularly Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Puducherry, where a single phase poll was held. Thank you, Sandeep, for discussing all these aspects with us in the studios. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You were listening to a discussion on voting in the third phase of Assembly elections. The participants were Sandeep Phukan, political analyst, and Vinay Kumar, journalist. This program is also available on our website, newsonair.com. You may email your opinion about this program at airnsdtalks@gmail.com.